Hey guys, welcome to yet another session by Scaler. So in this particular session, we're going to look into Ansible. So first we'll be understanding what is Ansible and understanding what is configuration management. And once that is done, we'll be looking into more concepts into Ansible and I'll also show you how to install Ansible in a Linux system. Okay, so before moving on with this particular session, please make sure you subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss our upcoming videos, and also leave a like if you enjoy our content. And if you have any queries, leave a comment down below and we would love to help you out. So now, without any further delays, let's begin with this session. So now, before we start, let me give you a simple introduction to what Ansible is. So Ansible is basically a configuration management tool, and it's used in a DevOps lifecycle for every single company. For example, certain companies don't use Ansible. There are other configuration management tools. There is Chef, there is Puppet, and but Ansible is one of the most popular, and it is popular because it's open source. It's owned by Red Hat, and yeah, so pretty much that's it about Ansible. More details about Ansible is going to come further in this particular session. Now let's start with it. Okay guys, so let's start by understanding what is configuration management, because Ansible is a configuration management tool. So configuration management is an IT management process that tracks individual configuration items of an IT system. So to be very simple, a configuration management tool is basically a process. So there would be certain individual assets when an IT system is being built. When there's a server, there will be certain individual assets to it. So all of that will be tracked by the configuration management system. The IT systems are composed of IT assets that vary in granularity. An IT asset may represent a piece of software, it could be a server, it could be a cluster of servers, and the following focuses on configuration management as it directly applies to IT software assets and software assets CI/CD. So let me make it even clearer. So what they basically try to say here is there are different types of IT assets in when you're creating a DevOps pipeline, or when you're creating an application, when you have multiple servers or a single server, there are multiple different types of assets. So if it's just your own PC, you're running a simple application on your PC, it will be a piece of software. If you're running the same application on a singular server on AWS or Azure, in that case, that would be a server. And then if your application is a much bigger application which needs more servers, it would be a cluster of servers, and even that would be IT assets. Okay, so all of these are IT assets, and whatever may be the IT asset, it may be a singular software, it can be one single server, it can be hundreds of servers, it can be thousands of servers, doesn't matter. Configuration management is used to manage all of them from one single point of contact. Okay, so that's exactly what configuration management does. So for example, over here, take this image. So let's say this is the configuration management tool, and there is a file, which is a configuration file, which has to be implemented in all of the servers. So now let's say you open a server. So let's say there are 100 servers, and if you want to implement this configuration on all of those servers, you have two options. You can either open all of those servers individually and then run this file in them, or you can send one singular request which will go to every single server automatically and run the configuration file. So that second process is basically what configuration management is and what a configuration management tool will do. Okay, so now let's understand how exactly it works in place. So now there is an Ansible file which you are using, right? So this particular file, they want to configure in all of the servers. So this is the version 2.1 file, and they want to configure all the servers by running this. Okay, by to do that, so here there is running app version 2.0, and there is 2.1 to upgraded app 2.1, downgraded app 2.1, running app 2.2. Okay, so there is a 2.0 version and there's a 2.2 version, but they want every single server to run 2.1 version. Okay, so currently there is already a server which is running the app 2.1. Okay, so tick. And then second, there is an app which is running 2.0, the previous version. So this configuration file will go back there and upgrade this server into running version 2.1. So the same file goes into this system which has running application 2.2, which is the newest version, and this particular configuration file will downgrade the application which is running here into again 2.1. So all of the servers are running the same version at the same time. So this is basically a simple example of what Ansible can do. This is one singular example of what Ansible can do, right? Okay, so now let's understand what exactly Ansible is. So, what is Ansible? So, Ansible is a software tool. Again, it's a open source tool which is given by Red Hat Linux, which I already told you in the intro. So now this provides simple but powerful automation for cross-platform computer support. The thing is, you can manage. Let's say you have a Linux server, you have a Windows server, and you also have a system which is running Mac. So you can manage all of them in the same go. It works on multiple platforms. You can run Ansible on all platforms. Basically, you can run it on Mac, Linux, Windows, doesn't matter. And it is primarily intended for IT professionals who use it for application deployment, updates on workstations and servers, cloud provisioning, configuration management, intra-service orchestration, and nearly anything a system administrator does on a weekly or daily basis. Let me just sum this up easily. So application deployment. So let's say that's what we saw here, right? You can deploy an application using a configuration file. Updates on workstations and servers. So same thing, instead of doing an upgrading or downgrading with an app version, if it's just commands of updating and running updates and installing certain software, and that could be also in this particular file, and that could be sent to the servers and it will install whatever is required, right? And then cloud provisioning. So Ansible can be used on cloud servers as well as AWS servers, Azure servers, GCP servers, whatever cloud servers they are, it doesn't matter. You can run it on cloud servers. Also, you can use it on premises. What here they mean is basically you can provision more servers or reduce the number of servers just by using Ansible. And configuration management, which I already explained to you, which is the basically all of this comes under configuration management, even though they are separate things which you talk about. And then intra-service orchestration. So this is basically orchestrating multiple services within the environment itself. So orchestrating in the sense managing them, making sure the server has the same configuration and dependencies as the server. So everything should be common, and whatever a system administrator does on a weekly or a daily basis. So Ansible is really popular and it's a powerful tool which you can use in lots of different locations. Okay, and also Ansible doesn't depend on any agent software. So because of that, there is no any additional security infrastructure. So it's very easy to install. It's just one command for most of the Linux environments. You just have to run that one command and Ansible will be completely installed for you. And yeah, so this is basically what Ansible is. It's pretty simple and yet powerful tool. Okay, so now the companies who use Ansible. So this data I got from Stackshare, and you can also go check more about Ansible over there. Okay, so now DigitalOcean, which is again a cloud provider. The DigitalOcean mostly provides PaaS services, and yeah, so they use Ansible. 9gag uses Ansible. I guess you guys know 9gag. It's like a meme platform. Then Typeform uses Ansible. Typeform is you can create forms like Google Forms, but in an even more better way. Then Bankseller, I'm not sure about this company, but even they use Ansible. So like popular companies are using Ansible for their configuration management, application deployment, and updation needs. So yeah, Ansible is pretty popular, and even you can use it if you're going to start a project or you are going to create a DevOps pipeline, right? Yeah. So now let's look at the Ansible concepts, and once we understand them, the basic concepts, then we'll move on to the installation. Yeah. So first of all, there is a thing called control node. So control node is the central part of any Ansible configuration. Okay? So any machine with Ansible installed is the control node. Okay. So if you have one system with Ansible installed, you can run Ansible commands just by typing Ansible or Ansible playbook command from any control node. So basically, you can run Ansible commands and playbooks by invoking the Ansible or Ansible playbook command. So Ansible itself is a command, or Ansible playbook is also a command, which can be used to invoke certain things from the control nodes. Okay, that's I hope that's clear. And then comes managed nodes. So managed nodes are basically the hosts which are connected to the control node. So the network devices or servers you manage with Ansible. So managed nodes are also called hosts. Ansible is not installed on managed nodes. So Ansible is installed in just one server. Okay, and there are, let's say there are 100 servers. You will just have one server which will be the control node. So 100 servers, there will be one server, and the rest 99 would be managed nodes. They wouldn't have Ansible installed, but they would be managed by Ansible. Okay, so it's just you don't have to install them in it, because again, it's not an agent. You don't have to install the agent in every single server. You just have to run the configuration files on every single server, and that can be done using Ansible installed in one particular server, which again is called the control node. Okay, and then next comes the inventory. So a list of managed nodes. An inventory file is also sometimes called the host file. So your inventory can specify information like IP address for each managed node. So again, if Ansible is not installed in a managed node or in a server, how does it get managed by the control node? There should be some kind of information which redirects the control node to manage these managed nodes, right? So that's where inventory plays a major role. It basically has a list of all the managed nodes. So the first server is basically the control node, and there are 99 servers here, and all of those IP addresses of those 99 servers will be stored in the inventory file, in the host file. So the host file is necessary in order for the control node to successfully run certain configuration on these servers. So let's say there are 99 servers, but the inventory, the host file has only 90 IP addresses. So only those 90 servers would be managed by Ansible. The other 9 servers wouldn't have any configuration updates because you have not entered the IP address in the host file, and without the IP address it wouldn't know if it should exactly run in that particular server, so it wouldn't run and there would be a problem. So make sure your host file is perfect. And finally, the tasks. So basically any unit of action in Ansible, any particular single thing which you run, a single command or a single action which has taken place in Ansible, it's called a task. So you can execute a single task once with an ad hoc command. So you can use Ansible or Ansible playbook. So you can use these to run these commands. Okay, so I hope this is clear. And before we move on with the installation, I just want to show you the official website of Ansible and then just go around it, show you certain commands and everything. Okay, so now ansible.com. Okay, so Ansible is again made by Red Hat. You can see Red Hat Ansible. So you can check out an overview of Ansible over here. Ansible delivers simple IT automation that ends repetitive tasks and frees up DevOps teams for more strategic works. Okay, now we can just open this and here all the information you need to understand how exactly Ansible works. So again, cloud provisioning, configuration management, application deployment, intra-service orchestration. It's designed for multi-tier deployments. Since day one, Ansible models your infrastructure by describing how all of your systems interrelate rather than just managing one system at a time. Okay, so again, there is no agents, there is no custom security feature infrastructure, which makes it very easy to deploy, and you use YAML. So let me just tell you what YAML is. It's a data serialization language. So let me just show this image. So basically, this is how it looks. It's it's a simple language you use to basically you will have to create a YAML file. That YAML file will be run. So that would be your configuration file which will be running. Okay. Okay, efficient architecture. Ansible works by connecting to your nodes and pushing out small programs called Ansible modules. So now tasks are individual things, right? But put them together, they are called Ansible modules. Multiple tasks together is called an Ansible module, and they are basically small programs. These programs are written to be resource models of the desired state of the system. Ansible then executes these models and removes them when finished. Okay. Yeah, your library of modules can reside on any machine and there are no servers, daemons, or databases required. It's just a regular file. SSH keys, again, you can password protect them using SSH keys, and using the SSH keys, you can connect to Ansible and perform certain actions so that it's secure. Manage your inventory in simple text files. You can create a text file and you can provide the web server names, the database server names. This is what I was talking about, right? The inventory file. It is just a plain text file in which all of your server names are there. For example, let's say this particular server, I can just copy this IP address and put it over here under web servers. That would be considered as one of my hosts because that's an IP address, and that's exactly what your inventory files are trying to do here. The basics, using Ansible for an ad hoc parallel execution. So once you have an instance available, you can talk to it right away without any additional setup. Without any additional setup, you can ping and you can basically see what exactly goes on in Ansible. Okay. And you can just look out for more information over here. Playbooks, a simple plus powerful automation language. So again, if you're using playbooks, So you will have to use playbooks when you're using Ansible. Can finally orchestrate multiple slices of net infrastructure topology with very detailed control over how many missions to tackle at a time. This is where Ansible starts to get more interesting. So Ansible's approach to orchestration is one of a finely tuned simplicity, as we believe your automation code should make perfect sense to you years down the road. So to be very clear, playbooks is also it uses YAML, but playbooks is more like a file, which is a structured file. So even you run it right now, you see it after a month, you would be able to make basically you will be able to make sense because it will be understandable. And so this is a sample configuration file, which is also a playbook. Yeah, so you can run the playbook and it would work. Okay, so that basically is it. And yeah, okay, so now I think let's come to the next part, which is installation. So I gave you a simple brief. Let me also just go to the main page, and so you can check out use cases over here if you want to understand it even better. And yeah, so these are recent things to join us for the webinar: create new automation content more quickly and easily. So you can just check out ansible.com if you want to join the community, if you want to check out a free trial. So it's a free tool, but when you're getting into a more, let's say you want it as a company, then in that case you would need to pay for it if you need servers. Okay, so in that case you can get it from them. And then yeah, so Ansible fees. So they have all the resources in their own official websites, videos, ebooks, white papers. So you can read white papers to get an even more better understanding of Ansible because it's their own white papers. Red Hat themselves write this, and yeah, so if it comes from the company who created the software, it will be even better for you. And over here, you can just check out the documentation, which has everything over here, right from the installation to how exactly to start working with it, right? So everything will be provided in this documentation. You can just go over here and check it out. Right. Now coming back. So now installing Ansible. So I have a Linux system installed which uses Yum, which is an Amazon Linux instance. So I'm just going to use this command. If it's Ubuntu, you will have to use these three commands in order to install, and it will completely vary for every single installation. So you can just check out the official website, right? So they will have an installation guide in order for you to do it. So Ansible installation docs.ansible.com installing. So over here you can see installing Ansible on specific operating systems. So CentOS, Fedora, Red Hat, Ubuntu, Debian, Gentoo, FreeBSD, macOS, Solaris, uh, Arch Linux. So every single Linux, Windows, macOS as well. Yep. So you can check out how to install it over here directly, and you can start with it. Right. Okay. So I have the system already available, the server. So I'm just going to connect to it through SSH. And if you want to know how to create an instance and connect to it, check out EC2 tutorial in Scalar's YouTube channel, which is provided right here. You can check that out, right? Yeah, that would give you more information about how exactly to create this instance and how to connect it using SSH. Okay, because I'm not gonna explain how to do that in this particular session. If you want to know how to do that, check out the tutorial which we already have. And yeah, so I have my terminal running over here. I'm already in the, you can see my tutorial.pem PEM file is over here. So I have connected to my system, not yet. So yeah, so now I'm connected. You can see here, right? Done. Okay. So now first thing you all always have to do is update your instance. The sudo yum update. Okay. Sudo yum install Ansible. Okay, so it is available on Amazon Linux extra topic Ansible 2. Got it. Let's try to run this. So Ansible is getting installed, you can see that, right? So this is the command which they are telling us to install directly. So again, so this is the command which Red Hat provided, but this keeps changing in Amazon Linux because this is not Red Hat Linux. This is Amazon Linux. Okay, so it's installed. So yeah, so Ansible is installed. I just wanted to see if it's there. So now let's try to do this. So provided host list is empty, only local host is available. Note that implicit local host does not match all. So this basically means, so all, we don't have a file, right? We don't have a host file. So because of that, this is what it is showing, because there is only local host is available, which is this particular PC. Okay. And then Ansible foo example.com. So if you have a website which you can provide here, you can do accordingly. So again, provided host list is empty and could not match supplied host pattern foo.example.com. So let's do one thing. Let's give the IP address of the same instance over here. Let's see what exactly it comes up to. So it could not match a host pattern. So the only problem is here we do not have a host file, and that exactly is the problem. Okay, so this basically is the very basic on how exactly to install Ansible. I hope it's understandable to you guys. And if it's a Red Hat Linux instance, this would be the command sudo yum install Ansible, and that's how easy it is. Sorry, Ansible, because it's Red Hat's own, but this is Amazon Linux. That's why they had their own command. All right, so you can also install Ansible in your own system, and you can just check it out. So one more thing you'll have to make sure before you start with Ansible. So first of all, if so when you're installing it itself, Python would be installed. So just check if Python is installed. So Python is installed in your system, and then you'll have to know if Boto 3 is available if you're going to start using basically what AWS. So in that case, you would need Boto 3, which is a Python SDK for AWS. So you would need Boto 3. Just install it if you have a pip. So let's see if pip is installed. Yeah, pip command not found. So you'll have to install pip, then install Boto 3, and everything will be set. You can start off with creating your host file and then moving ahead. So in the next session, we'll be showing you how exactly to do that. I'll be showing you how exactly to create a host file, how exactly you start with Ansible. So for now, I hope you understood the basics. What is Ansible? Why do you use it? What company uses Ansible? And then yeah, and then we understood what exactly is configuration management, how configuration management works, and then we understood the basic concepts in Ansible, and also I showed you how exactly you can install. So most commonly, you guys will be using Ubuntu if it's your local PC. So in that case, these are the commands. You can just note it down or take note of it, or you can just open docs.ansible.com installation guide, where you will have Ubuntu installation where all of the commands are provided. Okay, so this is how you provide, and then it will be installed. Yeah, so that basically is the installation part. So once installation is done, you can start with the using Ansible. Okay, so first understand how exactly it works. So getting started, you can just check this out. I've already given you all the basics, so you can just start off with the next one. Writing the first playbook, where should I begin? So you can just check it out. So I have a specific use case for a task of play. So executing task with elevated privileges or a different user with become. So these are basically concepts, even more particular advanced concepts which you'll have to know: become, loops, delegation, tests, blocks, handlers. So these will be we'll be going through in the next upcoming sessions. Working with inventory, I have a list of servers and devices I want to automate. So how to automate that? You'd have to create an inventory to track them. So how to do that? It will be provided in the doc itself. But again, I'll be showing you that soon. And tracking with data, executing playbooks, what exactly is the command for executing playbooks. So every single thing you need is provided here. And over here, if you want to know the basics about YAML, you can come over here and the basics of YAML is provided. So this basically is same indentation. So basically in YAML, there is no concept of ending a particular line. So when you go to the next line, it's automatically the next line. And so in that case, you have to use indentation like Python. So for example, hyphen apple, hyphen orange. So everything is intended over here. And then an employee record Martin a colon. So this is not ended. So the colon is started here. So name, job skill. So this all comes under this particular employee's name because of the indentation over here. And then again, they go back with a hyphen and the next person's name. And then again, the indentation is used in order to make sure that it comes under that particular person's name. You can also use dictionaries if you need like this. And so yeah, so this basically is an example of how YAML would look. So we've learned so far, this really has nothing to do with YAML, but will give you a feel for the format. So you can directly use this if you want, if it's just a single employee, and it'll work well for you. Okay. And yeah, so this basically is it. And community guide. Okay, so this is the community guide. You don't have to look at it when you start with it. So again, if you're a developer, if you want to know more about Ansible, you can just check out the developer guide and you can start with this. Okay, so that's basically it, guys. I'll just delete the instance which I just created to, yeah, so it's getting deleted. It's done. Let me just go back. Yep. So guys, that's it for today's session. I hope this session was helpful and also informative for you. If you have any queries, leave a comment down below and we would be addressing it. And also leave a like if you enjoyed our content. Thank you.